begin with Brightline West. Construction on the all-electric high-speed rail system is now underway after a Las Vegas groundbreaking ceremony where U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg said it was President Joe Biden's infrastructure law that made the train possible.
To get to this point, it took a president who showed perhaps the greatest appreciation for railroads of any president since Lincoln. A few weeks ago, a journalist asked me, why can't we have high-speed rail? We want high-speed rail. I said, you sound like my boss. But my real answer was, we can if we choose to, and now America has decided to. So on behalf of the Biden administration, it is my great honor to help break ground on what will be the first high-speed rail in American history.
Yeah. Officials say Brightline West will take about 4 years to complete. The $12 billion rail system is being funded in part by the bipartisan infrastructure bill that President Biden signed into law in 2021. Where the rest of the money will come from, Brightline West says it's still working on that, as well as on how much tickets will cost once the high-speed rail is complete.
3, 2, 1, go!
On Earth Day is when federal, state, and local leaders hammered rail spikes, signifying the start of construction on an all-electric, high-speed train connecting Las Vegas to Southern California.
This high-speed rail project is going to help reduce our carbon emissions by taking approximately 3 million cars off the I-15. 3 million cars off the I-15. I don't think I have to tell anybody here. During rush hour on those Friday nights and Sundays when people are going back and forth, it's a parking lot. People spend hours and hours, bumper to bumper, on traffic heading to or from Las Vegas. We're going to make a little dent in that with this train.
U.S. Senator Jackie Rosen was one of several politicians.
It's going to bring more visitors to Nevada. It's going to make their travel more convenient and expedient.
Who praised the project.
It's about economic development. 35,000 jobs, good-paying union jobs.
At a ceremony between Interstate 15 and Las Vegas Boulevard near Warm Springs Road. This is where Brightline West says its Las Vegas station will be. That is the I-15 behind me. That is the Las Vegas Strip. And it's about a 10-minute drive from here to the Strip. And then from here to Rancho Cucamonga is where this high-speed rail service will run at speeds up to 200 miles per hour. Brightline West says it'll be about a 2-hour trip, and that Rancho Cucamonga station is going to be next to the Metrolink, which you can then take into LA. That's an additional hour, making for a 3-hour trip from Vegas to LA. Brightline West hopes to have this all up and running by the summer of 2028 in time for the Olympics in LA. Without traffic, the drive from Las Vegas to Los Angeles is about 4 to 4.5 hours. And in a car that gets 25 miles per gallon of gas, a round trip would cost $100, according to AAA. A flight from Las Vegas to LA takes a little more than 1 hour and can cost less than $100 round trip, according to travel sites like Expedia and Orbitz, which begs the question, will Brightline West be worth it? In an interview with the LA Times, Brightline founder Wes Edens reportedly said he will eventually charge more than $400 for a round trip from Las Vegas to Rancho Cucamonga. I asked him about that at the groundbreaking ceremony.
It's actually a little bit of a misstatement. What I was asked for, if you look at train systems around the world, so London to Paris, Paris to Lyon, Madrid to Seville, Rome to Milan, so other comparable systems, or the Amtrak, the USL system from New York to Washington, they tend to all fall in a range on the revenue side between 50 cents and $1 a mile. That's what I told them. So that's actually what they do average. The Acela service from New York to Washington actually averages about $1.25 a mile. So those are just good information points about this. We're 4 years away from actually having a train that's running out here, so we're hardly ready to set prices for it right now. But I can tell you that those are in dozens of different rail systems around the country, and obviously they have to around the world, but they all have to be competitive with flights. They all have to be competitive with driving, right? There's factors that go into all that, but I think, I stand with the truth. The truth is 50 cents to $1 those are good metrics to kind of look at and figure it out. But of course, as with any transportation system, there will be very early rides that are cheaper. There's the peak rides that are more expensive and whatnot. So it's a blend of all those things.
Brightline West itself will cost $12 billion and is backed by $6.5 billion from the Biden administration, $3 billion of which is from the bipartisan infrastructure law. It's well-deserved federal funding, says U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, despite Brightline Florida, a high-speed train between Miami and Orlando, struggling to make a profit.
Brightline Florida, for example, has had 2 straight years of net losses. What do you take from that?
Oh, well, what we've seen in Brightline, Florida is that they've demonstrated how you can run a train on U.S. soil with a level of service that would pass muster even in places that we envy like Europe. This is, of course, a totally different project in many ways, but you have a team that knows how to build a train, and that's an important part of this.
And while lawmakers say Brightline West will generate $10 billion in economic impact, Nevada Governor and former Clark County Sheriff Joe Lombardo said the number of lives that will be saved on the roads when people take the train instead of driving is what sold him on supporting it.
So the secretary and I had a conversation not long ago, right? And we were discussing the reason why for the train, what it would do for Southern Nevada. And we talked about tourism, but it wasn't hitting home. It wasn't hitting home when we talk strictly about tourism. And then I mentioned the lives that will be saved as a result of the build out of this train along the I-15 roadway, and it hit home. It hit home, and he says that's going to take it over. That's going to take it over the hurdle. And today we are here.
Another safety note, unlike Brightline Florida, which crosses several streets and sidewalks, much of Brightline West will be built in the median of the I-15, eliminating some of the safety concerns that grade crossings present. As for the financial solvency of Brightline, it's a topic we discuss further with its CEO, Mike Reininger.
Brightline Florida was really a pioneer. It was the first time in over a century that a private company introduced a high-speed passenger system in the United States. Lots to have learned there. We really had to develop a business model. We had to learn about our customers. We had to learn how to develop the service. I'm very happy to say that in the month of March, we carried over 260,000 people in our Florida operation in just the month of March, and we became profitable for the first time in the month of March. So that's the path that we're going to follow here with Brightline West. This is going to be a very profitable venture. These are 2 huge markets we're talking about here between Nevada and Southern California. 50 million people or so a year are already making this trip on an annual basis. That's a huge marketplace.
Right now, Brightline Florida is in the process of refinancing about $4 billion in debt. Meanwhile, Brightline's founder told Bloomberg Television he's already envisioning where the next Brightline rail will be, listing Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio as a promising route, as well as Atlanta to Charlotte, Portland to Seattle, and Chicago to St. Louis.